Our reporter Aldrin Sampier is at the inquiry to unravel today's testimony. Aldrin, good afternoon. It's certainly not every day that you hear people that have been caught on the record, basically red-handed, admit, especially in front of a judge, that I am a racist, judge me on that, but please don't take lightly anything else I've said to you because of it.
Well, certainly, and it's not only the judge. You have key TV cameras rolling live on television, and here you had Agrizzi admitting and saying that I am a racist. But you're right, he's saying that what this Commission of Inquiry shouldn't do is judge him based on that, but should also take into consideration the evidence that he has given, and he has at least had some sort of reassurance that has come from the chairperson, Deputy Chief Justice Zondo, saying that the words that Agrizzi has used are extremely offensive. However, though, that does not mean that he will not assess the evidence that has been given in front of this commission.
And let's talk about perhaps where part of this may have emanated from and the significance of it being brought before the record this afternoon. Yesterday we had Dudumieni issuing a statement, of course denying what Angelo Agrizzi has said in relation to the 300,000 rand, the luxury bags that she was receiving from Bosasa on a monthly basis. And she described him as a bitter racist man. Why was it significant for the evidence leaders to place that before the record? It's been in the public eye for quite some time now.
I guess this has been a pressing issue, because if you listen to what evidence leader Pretorius has said, and he said it at least twice, he said that you are bringing this evidence, or you're testifying in front of this commission, being motivated by racism, and he denied this, and that question came back again, and this was denied again. And I guess the suspicion is that this issue will come up at a later stage. Hence, there was this pressing on from even Deputy Chief Justice Zondo, as well as Pretorius, of whether Agrizzi was aware at the time that there was the Watsons at his house, they were over for dinner, that whether he was aware that he was being recorded. And he did indicate that indeed he was aware of the recording that has taken place. He even said that his daughter told him that, "Dad, are you aware that you're being recorded?" I believe that what could happen at a later stage, some of the people who'd want to cross-examine Agrizzi would be cross-examining him around his motive and why he came forward. Another issue, for instance, would be part of that meeting that took place would be the issue around the money that was offered to him, about between 5 to 10 million rand over a period of 3 years, and all he had to do was just keep quiet. I think those are some of the issues that will come up at a later stage when people do apply to cross-examine him.
And let's talk about then some of the efforts that had been made to try and keep him quiet, at least as we've heard from Agrizzi, not just by his former CEO and leader, if I can put it that, Gavin Watson, but his family members, lawyers were brought in. Talk to us about just even the threats that he claims to have received.
Yes, continuous death threats that he's spoken about. He also said that he had sought guidance and counsel from Advocate Glennis Breitenbach. He had spoken to Advocate Barry Rue about what he should do. He even asked advice from someone in the media. He didn't say who that was, and the advice was that he should release a statement and say that he wants to come clean. And indeed, that is certainly what he did. The statement was released, which then prompted this meeting that took place, where he was offered this between a 5 to 10 million rand offer that was put on the table. And just listening to some of the testimony as well, where he was speaking about the Westville prison, and what we should take into consideration is that Bosasa provides security at correctional services centers. And here you have Agrizzi testifying on how inmates would be allowed out in the evening to carry out whatever it is that needs to be done, and then they will be brought back, and their alibi would be, "I'm in jail, I've been locked up throughout the night. You can't pin me down to being outside of the boundaries of the correctional services. And that for me was something quite intriguing. One can only imagine what sort of crime, if indeed the evidence that has been given by Agrizzi is correct, what sort of crime could be unfolding at these different correctional services and being abated by Bosasa.
And it certainly adds to the view, Aldrin, that government departments need to stop doing business with Bosasa, because the allegations that have been made by Agrizzi are simply too big to ignore, and the cost of it is simply too high for the state. But let's leave it there for this afternoon. Aldrin St. Pierre will, of course, continue with that commission when it resumes at 2 o'clock.